There are moments in life when something interrupts your usual rhythm, not with noise, but with clarity. You weren't searching for it. You didn't expect it. And yet here it is, confronting you in stillness, in mystery, in divine timing. This is one of those moments. You're not watching this by mistake. It is a force bigger than your thoughts, bigger than your circumstances, trying to reach you right now. The question is, will you pause long enough to receive it? You see, your brain is constantly filtering information, discarding what doesn't seem important. That's how your reticular activating system works. It decides what you pay attention to, but there are times when something bypasses that filter, when a message slips through the noise and lands directly into your awareness. That's not chance, that's divine interception. A spiritual signal is activating a neurological shift. And the more you ignore it, the easier it becomes to stay numb. The easier it becomes to explain it away, scroll past it, or say maybe later. But that later is a trap. Because your brain is plastic, it adapts. Every time you dismiss the whisper of God, the nudge of truth, you reinforce a pattern of delay. You teach your nervous system that divine timing can be postponed. You desensitize yourself to the very voice that's trying to pull you into your destiny. And one day, that voice may still speak, but you won't feel it anymore. This is your interruption. It's sacred, it's intentional. God often shows up when you're least prepared, not because you're weak, but because your defenses are down. Your usual filters, distractions, doubts, assumptions, they're all cracked open in moments like this. That's when heaven moves. That's when the unexpected begins to form. The truth is, when God wants to change your life, He rarely announces it with fireworks. He sends a whisper, a repeated pattern, a moment that lingers longer than it should, a message that feels oddly personal. That's what this is. And if your heart's beating faster, if your mind is saying, this feels like it's for me, then you've already been reached. Don't deny it. Don't escape it. Stay. Your spiritual system has entered a sensitive window. Science calls this neuroplasticity, a state where transformation is most possible. But this window doesn't last forever. Ignore it too long and the opportunity closes. The circuits rewire themselves around avoidance. You'll return to the loop of almost changing but never stepping, almost believing but never acting. That's not what you were built for. There's a divine intelligence moving right now, and it's asking you to respond. Not perfectly, not with grand gestures, just respond. Say yes. Pause long enough to say, I'm listening. Because when you respond to God's timing, you align your biology with your destiny. Your attention sharpens, your hope rises, your perspective shifts, and even the darkest situations begin to feel like soil for something new. You don't need all the answers, you just need awareness. You just need obedience in this one moment. You don't even need strength, just willingness. Because when God reaches for you, He's not testing you, He's choosing you. And what's waiting on the other side of your obedience is more than you could imagine. Peace you can't explain, favor you didn't earn, and clarity that dissolves years of confusion in a second. You felt lost, distracted, overlooked, but you weren't forgotten. You were being prepared for this, for now. Don't miss this moment. Don't scroll past your own breakthrough. Everything shifts when you stop running and start receiving. God is trying to reach you. He's not far. He's not vague. He's speaking in the language only your soul can hear. Tune in, because the unexpected is no longer coming. It's already here. There are moments that don't ask for your attention. They demand it. Moments when the noise of the world fades just long enough for something deeper to rise up within you. This is one of those moments. You didn't find this by accident. You didn't stumble into this by coincidence. Your entire nervous system has been subtly preparing for this interruption. Your senses, your awareness, your attention, all aligning, and now something eternal is brushing against something biological. God is reaching for you, and your spirit knows it. What you're experiencing right now is more than curiosity, it's activation. You're in a state of heightened awareness, where your reticular activating system, the brain's filter for relevance, is letting this moment in. And that doesn't happen often. Most of the time, your mind is overloaded with data, distraction, and digital noise. But right now, that filter is wide open, and it's letting through one single message. Pay attention. God is trying to speak, not in thunder, not in chaos, but in clarity. The divine rarely shouts. It usually arrives like this, quietly, personally, and in perfect timing. The timing is not just divine in a spiritual sense, it's neurologically precise. You are in a window of neuroplasticity, a moment where your brain is more responsive to truth, more open to transformation. These moments are rare and they don't last long. If you skip this, if you dismiss what's reaching for you now, you risk reinforcing a pattern that trains your brain to ignore the sacred. You see, every time you say not now to something, your soul knows is real. You dull your spiritual senses. Your nervous system learns to override the very signals that were sent to set you free. But the reverse is also true. If you stay, if you lean in, if you listen, you activate something ancient, something eternal. You awaken spiritual circuitry that's been dormant, waiting to be reconnected. This is not just a video, this is not just a message, this is a divine signal encoded in a moment you didn't see coming. You may feel unprepared, unsure, even unworthy, but none of that disqualifies you. In fact, it positions you, because when God chooses to reach someone, he doesn't wait for perfection, he waits for openness. All he needs is a crack in the wall you built around your heart. One crack. And in this moment, maybe that crack is finally here. Maybe the wall you've used to protect yourself is tired. Maybe your soul is ready to receive what your mind has been resisting. God moves when we stop pretending we have it all figured out. He moves when we let go. And if your heart is beating faster, if your breath feels different, if your thoughts are stilled, don't run from that. That's the moment before something shifts. Right now, something unexpected is trying to enter your life. It may come through a whisper, a word, a realization, but it will not force its way in. You have to choose it. You have to say, yes, I'm here, I'm listening. Because what you're stepping into is not ordinary. It's divine timing wrapped in neuroscience. It's heaven intersecting with your biology. And this intersection is powerful. When your mind and spirit align in the same direction, momentum is born. You begin to see opportunities where you used to see resistance. You feel strength where you used to feel fatigue. You recognize that you were never waiting on God. He was waiting on this version of you, aware, present, ready. And now you are. The window is open, the whisper is clear, and the invitation is simple. Don't scroll past your own breakthrough. Don't retreat into the comfort of delay. You're being reached for a reason, and the reason is bigger than you. There's alignment waiting on the other side of this moment. There's restoration, answers, guidance, things you thought would take years, now rushing in the moment you say yes. Don't miss it. Don't miss this. God is trying to reach you now, and this moment will not come twice. There's a sacred weight to this moment. Can you feel it? Something is happening not just around you, but within you. A kind of inner alert has been triggered. It's not stress and it's not fear. It's something deeper, something spiritual in origin, but biological in impact. You're not imagining it. Your nervous system has entered a state of heightened receptivity. Your attention has been pulled into alignment, and that's not random. That's the evidence that something higher is trying to reach you. This is not just a thought. It's not a coincidence. This is God trying to break through your filters, your distractions, your logic, your emotional fatigue, and deliver something divine right into your conscious mind. Your brain has a system called the reticular activating system. It filters what enters your awareness. Most of the time, it's busy managing the chaos of modern life, ignoring what feels irrelevant, blocking what doesn't seem urgent. But every once in a while, something breaks through. A phrase, a moment, a message. When that happens, it's often because your spiritual and neurological systems are momentarily aligned. That's what's happening right now. And if you ignore this alignment, if you shrug off the moment, you teach your nervous system to treat the voice of God like background noise. You train your awareness to tune out the divine. But if you stay, if you lean in, you activate a deeper level of listening, a frequency your soul has been waiting to hear. The truth is, most people miss what's meant for them, not because it wasn't sent, but because they were too distracted to receive it. But not you, not today. You've been pulled into this moment for a reason. Something is shifting. You don't need to fully understand it yet. You just need to stop resisting it. Because right now, your mind is more open to truth than it was yesterday. Your emotions are more tender. Your walls are lower. And that makes this the exact moment when God does his most unexpected work. You don't need more proof. You don't need a sign in the sky. The sign is your own awareness, the undeniable pull that what you're hearing right now is for you. That sensation, that lump in your throat, that stillness in your chest, that's not from outside of you. That's your spirit responding to truth. That's your body cooperating with divine time. There's something God is trying to deposit in your life, and he chose this moment to do it, not because you're ready in the worldly sense, but because your spirit finally stopped running. You spent so long waiting for clarity, for direction, for answers that make sense. But the truth is, God often speaks in ways that don't fit your logic. He works through alignment, not explanation. And right now, you are aligned. Don't ruin it by reaching for comfort. Stay in this discomfort a little longer, because this is where transformation happens, in the space between what you expected and what God is revealing. And what he's revealing is simple. You're not alone. You're not forgotten. You're being called. That calling isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it shows up in quiet conviction, a message you weren't looking for but can't ignore. That's what this is. A divine interruption to your regularly scheduled doubt, a reset for your overloaded system. And if you respond, even with just a yes in your heart, you change something, not just emotionally, but neurologically. Your brain begins to rewire around trust. Your spirit begins to stretch toward purpose. And your future begins to bend around obedience. You're not hearing this by chance. There is a divine appointment being kept in this moment. What happens next is not about motivation, it's about surrender. It's about no longer pushing against the current of your calling. God doesn't ask for perfection, he asks for attention. And now he has yours. So the question becomes, what will you do with it? Will you shrink back into patterns that have kept you stuck? Or will you stay open long enough to let the unexpected in? Because the unexpected isn't random. It's God's favorite method. He hides his greatest answers in moments just like this. Quiet, simple, but undeniably powerful. You don't need to figure it all out right now. You just need to say, I'm ready to hear, ready to shift, ready to let go. Because the truth is, this moment is sacred. It won't last forever. And if you miss it, you might miss what you've been praying for all along. Don't miss it. Don't scroll past your own miracle. This is the moment everything begins to shift. And it's not coming from outside of you. It's been stirring within you all along. God is reaching. Are you responding? Something within you already knows this isn't just another message. It's not background noise. It's not a coincidence that you landed here right now. This is a moment of divine alignment where something higher than your thoughts is trying to enter through the only space quiet enough to listen, your soul. The atmosphere around you hasn't changed, but your awareness has. Your body, your brain, and your spirit have entered into agreement, a rare and powerful state where spiritual truth can finally break through. And this is not something you should rush past, because once this moment closes, it may not return in the same way. God is trying to reach you now, and what happens next is entirely dependent on whether or not you pause long enough to receive it. Your brain has powerful filters that decide what's worth noticing. It's wired to ignore what seems irrelevant or overwhelming. But every once in a while, something breaks through those filters. A moment, a message, a sensation that causes you to stop scrolling and pay attention. That's not a glitch. That's a divine pattern. That's the activation of your reticular activating system, triggered by something far deeper than the surface. God is speaking not in words alone, but in resonance. And when your attention syncs up with his voice, a sacred opportunity is born, a window of neurospiritual plasticity. But here's the catch. That window doesn't stay open forever. If you close your heart now, your mind will follow. If you delay now, you may delay your destiny. Think about the times you've asked for a sign, pleaded for direction, whispered prayers in private you didn't tell anyone else about. What if this is the answer? What if what feels random is actually the divine showing up in disguise? God doesn't always answer in the ways we expect. He often speaks through disruption, an interruption in your normal routine, a shift in your mood, a quiet but undeniable moment that catches your breath and makes your spirit lean forward. That's this. That's now. Don't ignore what you've been praying for just because it's showing up in a form you didn't predict. There is a tension in this moment, isn't there? Part of you feels pulled to stay. Another part of you feels the urge to move on. That's the battle between your conditioned brain and your awakened spirit. Your brain wants to default to the familiar, more content, more noise, more comfort, but your spirit knows better. Your spirit recognizes the presence of God, even when your mind doesn't understand it. That internal pull you feel, that quiet stirring, that's heaven trying to break in through your awareness. Not for entertainment, not for hype, but for transformation. You've come to the edge of something, the edge of clarity, the edge of healing, the edge of obedience. And the only thing required to step over that edge is your yes. Not a perfect yes, not a loud yes, just a real one, just enough faith to say, God, I don't fully understand this, but I won't ignore it. Because right now, something is being planted in you. a seed of direction, a seed of identity, a seed of peace. But seeds only grow when they're received. If you close yourself off now, you miss more than a message. You miss momentum. This is more than emotion. This is calibration. God is realigning you internally before he moves things externally. You want change in your life? Then you have to respond when heaven initiates. This is that initiation. This is the divine invitation into a different future. And here's what's beautiful. God didn't wait until you had it all together to reach for you. He reached now, in the middle of your doubt, your fatigue, your questions. That's love. That's mercy. That's divine strategy. He chose this moment because he knew you'd be tender enough to hear, desperate enough to listen, and honest enough to recognize that this is not just another piece of content. This is confirmation. A quiet voice reminding you that you're seen, that your timeline is not broken, and that there is something greater forming, even in your waiting. But you must act, you must believe, you must respond, because the next chapter doesn't start when life gets easier. It starts when you say yes in moments like this. So don't just listen, decide. Don't just feel it, follow it. Everything you need for the next season is waiting on the other side of your obedience. Don't skip the moment that was sent to restore you. The window is open, but it will close. And once it closes, you may spend years searching for the same clarity that's present right here. Don't miss what God is doing. Don't miss this. There are moments when life slows down just enough for you to hear something you weren't prepared for but deeply needed. This is one of those moments. You didn't arrive here by accident. Something greater than your conscious mind led you to this very space. And while your logical brain may try to dismiss it, your spirit recognizes what's happening. That slight tension in your chest, that breath you just took that felt different, that strange sense of stillness, those are not random reaction. That is evidence. You are in the presence of a divine signal, a sacred interruption. God is reaching for you. And it's not in the loud, dramatic way we often imagine. It's quiet, surgical, intentional. And it's happening now, not later, not someday, now. Your brain is an extraordinary filter. It processes thousands of sensory inputs every second and decides what to notice and what to ignore. Most things never even reach your awareness. But sometimes something unexpected slips through, a sentence, an image, a moment, and it hits differently. That's what's happening right now. Your reticular activating system, the gatekeeper of your focus, has made a decision to let this moment in. That's not just science, that's spiritual engineering. That's the divine using biology to whisper something eternal. And the whisper is this: pay attention. Something you've been asking for, hoping for, waiting for, might be arriving through this very interruption. There's a psychological and spiritual phenomenon at work here. What you repeatedly ignore, you begin to desensitize yourself to. Your nervous system adapts. So when God is trying to reach you and you brush it off as coincidence, you train yourself to miss him again in the future. But the opposite is also true. When you pause, when you receive, when you say, maybe this is for me, you activate a new pathway. You begin rewiring your brain and your heart to notice him more clearly. The more you acknowledge his voice, the louder it becomes, not in volume, but in clarity. This is the beginning of that process, the beginning of deeper spiritual perception, and it begins with the decision to stay in this moment. You've likely prayed for direction, for confirmation, for a sign that you're not alone. And maybe without realizing it, you've also developed expectations for how God should respond. But he doesn't always show up in fireworks. Sometimes he shows up in a moment just like this, a moment that doesn't make sense to your logic, but grips your attention in a way you can't explain. And that's how the divine often works. He meets you at the intersection of your deepest need and your softest attention. And right now, both are activated. That's why you feel this moment so deeply. That's why you can't ignore this message the way you've ignored others. Because this one is tailored. This one is timed. This one is for you. The next few moments matter more than you know. If you pull away now, you'll return to what's familiar, but something inside of you will know that you passed something sacred. But if you lean in just a little longer, you step into a new neurological and spiritual reality, one where obedience doesn't require understanding, one where transformation doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It begins when you simply say yes. That's all God needs. Not your perfection, not your performance, just your attention, just your response. Because when you respond, he begins to move, not just around you, but within you. He starts aligning the pieces you thought were broken beyond repair. He begins turning confusion into clarity. He replaces fear with stillness, and he gives you vision for what's coming next. This is the moment before the shift. Not because the world outside is changing, but because you are. You're changing neurologically, you're changing spiritually. A recalibration is happening in real time. But like any window, this one will close. That's why you can't afford to scroll past this. Not because of guilt, not because of fear, but because of opportunity. This is the invitation you've been waiting for, the unexpected door, the sacred detour. And it will either be the beginning of a new season or another missed moment in a long list of almosts. So decide, let this be the one time you didn't talk yourself out of it. Let this be the moment where you stopped running and started listening, where you let go of needing to know the outcome and trusted the one who already sees it. Because he sees you right now completely, and still he's reaching. Don't make him whisper louder just to get your attention. You've already heard enough. Now it's time to respond. Say yes and watch what unfolds.